longest government shutdown in history finally ended after 43 days. And you know, first day back in the office, you got to check all those piled up emails. The White House also announced that Vice President JD Vance will travel to the Vatican for Pope Leo's inaugural Mass. And I'm not a huge fan of his outfit.
President Trump addressed a joint session of Congress and claimed that no president has changed government faster than him. Yeah, and nobody changed airport security faster than bin Laden.
Brace yourself. Colin Jost and Michael Che are diving headers into the hurricane that is Trump and JD Vance. Every smirk, every exaggerated gesture, every desperate power move is about to be torn apart by relentless comedy. Will Trump and Vance survive the merciless roast, or will their egos explode live on stage? The chaos is real, the punches are savage, and the laughter hits like a full-blown cinematic storm. Don't blink. You'll want to see every wild second.
And Trump deserves credit, I have to say, for brokering this ceasefire in Gaza, but I'm slightly skeptical since Biden also negotiated a ceasefire in Gaza 9 months ago. Remember that? No? Well, neither does Biden. Vice President JD Vance, seen here watching the plane leave Greenland without him, continued his sad reboot of Veep this week by visiting our military base there and delivering the administration's clearest threat so far. Either Greenland joins the U.S. or the U.S. will keep sending them JD Vance.
When the spotlight slams down like a runaway circus tent, Colin Jost steps into fray, sending Trump careening into a comedic spiral that has even seasoned political watchers clutching their seats. The instant his name hits the scene, it slices through the chaos, exposing every wobble, blunder, and over-the-top misstep left in its wake.
Well, President Trump traveled to the Middle East this week, and if I were him, I would have just stayed there because it looked awesome. Trump arrived in Saudi Arabia where he was greeted with a lavender carpet which matched the color of his tie and also the length. They also rolled out a mobile McDonald's truck for President Trump's visit, featuring Saudi Arabia's most popular new burger, the McJournalist.
Just as the scene tries to catch its breath, here comes the unstoppable wave of Michael Che zeroed in on his target. He sweeps across Trump's latest misfires with the intensity of someone whose sole mission is to ensure not a single stumble escapes roasting. His humor crashes over the stage like a neon billboard, broadcasting the truth through laughter. And JD Vance finds himself caught squarely in its path as if fate decreed the day was not his day.
The emails, Epstein's brother asked if Vladimir Putin has a picture of Donald Trump giving oral sex to someone named Bubba, which was an old nickname for Bill Clinton. So I guess that's one job Trump has created. President Trump says he will appoint Fox News host Jeanine Pirro as interim U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C. Pirro celebrated the news with a bottle of wine every day for the last 50 years.
Then comes that glorious return to Joe gliding in with the kind of comedic finesse that's like a magician revealing a rabbit, only for the rabbit to have strong opinions on Trump's decision-making. Each beat lands sharper than the last, presenting Trump's latest headline-grabbing antics as if they were artifacts in a museum dedicated entirely to political overconfidence and minimal self-awareness.
President Trump, while on his trip, said that Iran has sort of agreed to terms for a nuclear deal in the same way Trump has sort of agreed to uphold the Constitution. Many people in Saudi Arabia were very happy with President Trump's visit to the country because rich Saudis love to fly out thick blondes.
And just in case the room wasn't spinning with enough chaotic spectacle, Che rolls back in like a high-speed parade float, refusing to slow down, folding JD Vance into the roast with the ease of someone tossing an extra log onto a fire already blazing, bright enough to be seen from space. His rhythm creates the perfect storm, welding every moment of Vance's political theatrics into comedic material that practically begs to be replayed.
In the Middle East are crediting President Trump with brokering the Israel-Hamas ceasefire, but it makes perfect sense to me because sometimes crazy people only listen to other crazy people. Like when you see a guy jacketing on the subway, you don't just ask him to stop. No, you got to take off your pants too, and now we can negotiate.
Insiders are saying that President Trump is trying to create tension between his potential successors, Marco Rubio and JD Vance, mostly by pointing at them and saying, kiss.
When the chaos hits maximum volume and the room hums with pure comedic electricity, Colin Jost storms back like a firework clearly not designed for indoor use, blasting Trump's latest miscalculations into the air with the precision of someone who spent years mastering strategic mockery. Every move Trump tried to brand as genius becomes a sparkling reminder that not every sunrise-born idea should survive until noon. And Jost tosses each one into the comedic blender, with a skill usually reserved for surgeons or extremely caffeinated baristas. Before the smoke can settle, Michael Che rockets through like a meteor skipping across the atmosphere, dragging JD Vance behind him with unstoppable momentum. It's the perfect collision of political ego and comedic demolition, turning Vance's newest public stumbles into a slow-motion spectacle of overconfidence meeting gravity heating. Jay ignites the scene with gleeful intensity, roasting Vance so thoroughly, even the air seems to step aside. Then the comedic curtain snaps open again as Joe takes the center stage like a whirlwind. Determined to rearrange the furniture inside Trump's political universe, he navigates Trump's contradictory decisions, unpredictable statements, and grandiose self-narratives as if strolling through an amusement park built entirely from half-finished ideas and rides that collapse the moment someone gets too close. Every highlight of Trump's current chaos becomes a sparkling opportunity for Joe to craft a masterpiece of controlled comedic carnage.
I have to say, in general, I don't really believe in conspiracies because as a member of the Illuminati, I know that we, the lizard people, control everything. And it's really hard to believe that Trump was so oblivious that he didn't notice his good friend was running an international pedophile ring. Though I guess Trump is the one guy on earth who thinks YMCA is a straight anthem.
The moment escalates as Che crashes back into the spotlight, propelled by unstoppable momentum that turns his roast into punchline-fueled natural disasters. He gathers JD Vance's inconsistencies like scattered puzzle pieces and assembles them into a portrait of political confusion, so vivid it practically demands a museum placard. Che's fire doesn't just burn, it dances, ignites, and leaves Vance stumbling through the blaze as if he volunteered for a comedy experiment he never signed up for. Just as the scene catches its breath, Joe swings back like a human carnival ride with no brakes, flipping Trump's latest self-promotional stunts upside down and shaking loose every colorful contradiction, clinging to them. Each public stunt and impulsive messaging burst becomes a treasure chest of comedic gold, and Joe unleashes every spark with a perfect blend of calculated precision and seemingly accidental chaos. Then Che storms in again, his energy enough to rattle the planet, dragging Vance's political rebranding across the comedic stage like an oversized prop someone forgot to secure. His roast cuts through theatrics of Vance's Trump-aligned posturing, blending their mismatched styles into a surreal spectacle that practically begs for subtitles. Each punch lands with such ferocity that even imaginary bystanders seem to brace for impact.
President Trump has reportedly become concerned with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene criticizing Republicans on key issues, with Trump asking, "What's going on with Marjorie?" Little advice, bro. Just let her go. You can't change her. God knows I've tried. The U.S. Treasury is planning to release a silver dollar with President Trump's face on it, and then on the other side, he has Harriet Tubman in a headlock.
Who unleashes another wave of comedic shockwaves, transforming Jay, Dance's public stumbles into a cinematic sequence of missteps so theatrical they practically choreograph themselves. Vance's attempt to appear steady beside Trump resemble a balancing act on a trampoline, and Chase sabers every inconsistency, bouncing with each new appearance. Then Joe storms back like a lightning bolt determined to strike twice, shredding through Trump's efforts to reshape his image. His commentary spirals through speeches, dramatic gestures, and chaotic pivots that define the latest chapters of Trump's presidency, turning every scene into a rich comedic feast. Joe doesn't merely highlight contradictions. He spins them into a full-blown carnival of chaos. So vivid it feels like the laughter could shape the walls.
Basic level, it's just shocking how many alleged pedophiles Trump was friends with. Epstein, Prince Andrew, and Diddy. I mean, that's a lot, you know? I mean, think about your own friend group. You know, how many pedophiles do you know? One, maybe two. But Trump's like the Forrest Gump of meeting famous pedophiles.
Vance's attempt to mimic Trump's bombastic energy turned into a comedic theme park of mismatched timing and unexpected collapses. And Che dissects each one like a scientist studying malfunctioning public personas. Joe surges back with a roar, transforming Trump's chaotic workflow into a highlight reel of unpredictable twists, dramatic self-comparisons, and highly public meltdowns. His roast becomes a cascading wave of comedic force, blasting through every headline Trump tried to spin into triumph. The harder Trump pushes, the more Joe turns it into a spectacle that can outshine a meteor shower. Then she detonates the moment again, dragging Vance's attempt at loyalty into the spotlight with the precision of someone hauling a malfunctioning robot into a repair shop. Every miscalculated performance, every tense smile, every attempt at tough guy theatrics becomes a glittering target, and Che picks up the pieces to launch them as fireworks of pure comedic energy.
President Trump has signed an executive order giving refugee status to white people from South Africa. You know, I could have sworn that white people had it good in South Africa. Must be the Mandela effect. The Trump administration announced that after face-to-face talks with China, it is lowering tariffs from 145% to 30%, which is a little like OJ bragging about taking the knife out.
I don't know, I just feel like as a Catholic, Trump's photo just feels slightly disrespectful. Also, if Trump really wants to be Pope, he should probably stay away from JD Vance.
Joe twists back into the scene, spotlight blazing, tearing into Trump's latest dramatic public displays with the precision of someone determined to turn political unraveling into art. Trump's decisions collapse like toy blocks in slow motion, and Joe narrates the fall with unrelenting comedic force. Che roars with renewed intensity, yanking JD Vance back into comedic orbit as if determined to prove the man could fuel an entire roast tour without even trying. Vance's awkward political shifts, misaligned loyalties, and headline-grabbing stumbles provide the perfect blueprint for Che's escalating storm. Joe returns with a thunderclap, seizing Trump's newest display of bravado and twisting into a dramatic performance worthy of a late night. Trilogy. Trump's quest for dominance becomes a neon-lit obstacle course, tore apart piece by piece, revealing a comedic core so bright it practically hums. Che spins back into the chaos, charging forward like a runaway monologue, shredding Vance's attempts at political swagger as if they were private audition tapes no one should see. Every moment of unintentional comedy erupts into fireworks under Chase's precision. Joe's the next wave straight through Trump's latest attention-seeking optics, dragging every exaggerated gesture into the open with ruthless comedic flair. Trump's self-made mythology unravels like a parade float collapsing mid-street, and Joe doesn't miss a single crumble.
Well, it is nice to start update with some good news. For once, there is peace in the Middle East. The only downside is there's war in Chicago. Only Trump could Freaky Friday Chicago and Gaza. And I know Trump is upset that he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, but the last guy to send heavily armed men into an American city was Bane from Batman.
Chaos erupted again as Chase stormed back with more power than a rocket fueled entirely by sarcasm, roasting JD. Vance's earnest attempt at relevance with such precision even imaginary audiences would duck. Vance spiraled through the roast like a man who studied for the wrong exam. Joe unleashed another comedic shockwave through Trump's latest political theatrics, turning each dramatic flourish into a circus act that grew funnier with every pass. Trump's chaos became a gift, and Joe unwrapped it with gleeful abandon. Chase slammed down another hammer of comedic force on Vance's newest maneuvers, spinning through the absurdities with razor-sharp clarity and pure delight. Joe countered with a blazing breakdown of Trump's unpredictable leadership, turning every twist into an explosion of over-the-top humor. Chase struck again, dissecting Vance's alignment with Trump with ferocity that made the whole performance feel like a sprint through a collapsing funhouse of political missteps. Joe followed with another eruption of satire, dragging Trump's latest headline-chasing antics into the center ring and shredding every contradictory angle into glittering confetti. Jay returned one more time, ripping into Vance's attempts at public toughness and transforming each stilted post into a hilarious portrait of ambition outpacing capability. The stage vibrated with their relentless back-and-forth comedic demolition, a non-stop carousel of satire and spectacle.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem visited a prison holding deported migrants in El Salvador, even though it looks more like she's trying to beat a world record on OnlyFans. FBI Director Kash Patel announced that the agency is launching an investigation into anti-Musk vandalism at Tesla dealerships, calling the acts domestic terrorism, which is a federal crime punishable by a full pardon. Yeah, no, you know what? Those protesters better be very careful because Patel has eyes everywhere.
Joe spins Trump's chaotic maneuvers into a theatrical spectacle, transforming the presidential whirlwind into pure comedic force. Che ignites another blaze across Vance's theatrics, leaving him metaphorically smoking from fallout. Joe returns like a comedic hurricane, slicing through Trump's self-inflated displays with a gleaming grin of imagined mockery. Che unleashes one final roaring wave of energy, folding JD Vance's political gambits into a dazzling finale of chaos, drama, and explosive punchlines. As the dust settles on this wild display of flaming ego, collapsing bravado, and political acrobatics gone airy, the final surge hits like a runaway carnival ride, crashing straight through the spotlight. Trump's whirlwind of gestures and collapsing confidence spins into a finale so thunderous it shakes its own foundation. Each attempt to seize the moment combusting into bursts of chaos that refuse to fade quietly. The wave then slams through Vance's last shaky performances, turning every overpolished pose into a wobbling tower, ready to topple. His scramble to match Trump's firestorm becomes a spectacle of mismatched timing and unsteady resolve, unraveling into cascading comedic misfires that ignite the scene even brighter. The entire stage vibrates with electric intensity, transforming the closing beat into a roaring celebration of collapsing facades and soaring punchlines. The finale blazes with unstoppable comedic torque, leaving the chaos sizzling in the air long after the last spark hits, begging to spiral unhinged into the next round.